audited to see how much waste there was in the cafeterias. When they finished, there was a little bit of money left in that grant from Kroger, and we really were ready because we'd been diverting food already for 2 years. We were ready to start composting, and so at the end of the food audit I think it was 2019, we started with the approval of Kroger, used the last bit of money and started composting our food. So we were composting, and we had to raise, the second year we had to raise that money on our own, and we, thanks to the generosity of many people in our community who care about this, we raised enough money to continue composting. So we were on the verge of really being sustainable, we thought. And then, as luck would have it, COVID came along after the tornadoes, and we realized that maybe we needed to expand our vision because we weren't going to be able to just do this alone. And that's when a small group of us got together and came up with a plan to try to help Metro move toward being a sustainable district. And the first conversations we had a year ago with Hank Clay at the district, we learned that they had already established an energy department, and they had, at that point, really needed help getting this off the ground. And so my goal, my personal goal after talking with them, and this was before they hired, eventually they hired a group of consultants to help with this. It was before the hiring of that group even, but the goal for me was then to try and help us match what had already been done in Austin, Texas. Austin is sort of a mirror image of us, and they've been working on sustainability there for a decade and are further along than we are in many ways. And their goal when I talked to them was, well, you really need someone to oversee sustainability for the district. So my goal initially was to find enough money to help the district have that person in place that would help the district, the whole district, make this move. The idea being that not only would it be good stewardship of our funds, would save tremendous amount of money in the long run, but it's what we need to do, as you all know, in terms of climate change and in terms of just managing our resources. So then the tornado and all of this happened, and we realized we were going to not be able to get that money, but surely we could still do things. There would be a way. And so our plan really was the letter that you all signed off on, that you got, which took a long time to write because we tried to lay it out for people who might not have thought of this in the past very carefully, and lay it out in a way that would lead them to understand what we wanted to do and why it was important. And it set out a number of things for the district to do, and asked the district to commit to becoming a sustainable school district. And so in August, I got a call from Hank, and he said, well, there's good news, which Lord knows we need. And the district does want to do this. They want to become a sustainable district. We've kind of been aiming that direction for some time. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. I can't tell you, I can't tell you how I felt when I got that call from him. But that was very exciting news, because the next piece of the puzzle then was to go to you all at the city. And there were two pieces of that puzzle from the city that we wanted to enlist. First of all, part of the plan was to have a committee. This is the way Austin did it. And I thought, why should we reinvent the wheel? So it's good enough for Austin, Texas. It's good enough for me. So we want to set up a committee, and the Urban Green Lab as the convening agency, because they've been involved at all levels with this at the beginning. They'll be convening this group, but calling together a committee of people who are involved in three areas: environmental organizations, people who are with the city, and people who are with MNPS, to help come together and plan. It'd probably be the production of maybe a policy document. It'll take about a year to figure out what the next steps for the district would be. So that's one thing that we need you all to know about, and we figured that somehow we need probably two pieces of legislation. One is to encourage, foster compliment and create and say, yes, we want to be in this committee and we want this to happen. And I don't know what kind of legislation that is. That's one of the reasons I'm talking to you now, because I'm a novice at this. And the second piece is we want to pass an outdoor children's Bill of Rights. These started to emerge around 2008. And I can't see hands or anything, so you're just going to have to interrupt me if you want to ask a question. But around 2008, Lou, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, wrote about the last child in the woods, and it was about nature deficit disorder and how our kids are getting separated from the world that we need and depend on. And then for the last 10 years, we've had 10 years of tests and collection of data and studies. And there are over 50 studies that cite how important this move would be to help our children move toward a natural understanding of the world. And as Douglas Talmay says, you can't protect what you don't love. So the goal is to help them love nature and want to defend it. So we would, we actually have kids right now working on what they see as in Nashville as the most important pieces of an outdoor children's Bill of Rights. And if you haven't seen one of these documents, they're really quite interesting. They vary and they're all over the country. You know, maybe one of them is to catch a fish or to climb a tree or to feel mud between your toes, but each one is unique to the city from which it came. So there are children working on this Bill of Rights, and I was thinking about having the kids possibly present it to you. And it's more a statement of philosophy than it is anything else. But those would be the two pieces of legislation that we need for the city, I think, to foster. And it seems like it'd be a slam dunk. I can't imagine anybody opposing those things. But one of the main things you need to think about as you're thinking about all of this is that when Tanya, for instance, proposed the, idling ordinance, people just sort of came unglued and they thought it was crazy and she was nutty and why would you do that and you're cold and it's because people don't know or understand. Once they come to know and understand what things are at stake, they're going to be more supportive. And I think Sharon Smith has run into some of the same things with the recycling and the waste issues. You know, why are we doing it? Why can't we put our plastic bags in? You know, so if you think about it in terms of the school district, there are over 95,000 people, students, teachers, counselors, who are represented as either employees or participants in the district. Those people, because they would be receiving this kind of education in the public schools, will be taking that understanding home and helping their parents and grandparents to see the value of doing these things. And within my school at Westmead, I have seen anecdotally how this changes people and children. And so our goal is to work hand in glove with the city to make this happen for our city, for our community, for our children. And I think it's a message. The time has come, and it's a difficult time because of COVID, and it presents new challenges because of that. But I don't think we can stop doing what's right or what's important and think we can postpone it, because in part, we're experiencing the results of our mismanagement of our environment for a long time. And one of the things that when you see the PowerPoint slides, I'll try to add some things because usually I just talk through PowerPoint slides and you see the pictures. But we have people at government who want to do this, people in the neighborhoods. The reason Westmead is an ideal place to begin and start to push all of this out is because Hillwood and Westmead are naturally already old growth forest areas. People there tend to be oriented toward nature anyway. So that was why I felt like where I was at Westmead was the perfect place to begin this. And in my developing some of these programs with my principal at Westmead, I could see a huge network of wisdom that existed, people who knew a lot of things, who were willing to help. And there are so many agencies and groups that are already pushing for this. Sierra Club took, I think it was Charlie Hyde told me, 150 kids not this summer, but the summer before, from the inner city, took them out into the forest, took them whitewater rafting. Were 54 gardens in various states of use or disuse in the schools themselves, and so many gardeners. Nancy Stetton's an example at Park Avenue. Charlie Tigard, Neela Frierson, who has the Brooklyn Community Gardens at Haynes Middle. All these people are already raring to go. And so I think one of the things I see is that how we can encourage, support, and free these people to do more. A lot of these gardens are already growing food for their communities during this time. So there's so much that's positive here that we can do. But at this point, what I need from you all, and I hope that my friend Chris Zinkowitz or Nancy Stetton are taking frantic notes when you start talking, because I'm too nervous to do that right now. I'll get it all messed up. But need to know how to frame this as legislation and how we present it to City Council, because I've never done anything like this. So with that, I'm going to, ask questions or tell me what to do. Are you there? Hello?
We're here, Karen. I think we're waiting on Tanya.
Oh, okay, because I can't see anything, so I thought maybe it had died.
Yeah, we're all here. Tanya's sharing her screen. It'll be just a second.
Thanks.
That was great. Thank you for explaining all of the background. You're wonderful, Karen.
Oh, gosh, I hope it was okay.
It was great. Okay, Tanya, are you there? We can't hear you. So Tanya was sharing the draft Bill of Rights that we've seen an example of. And I think that was also shared in the event if anyone was able to see that beforehand. And so that would be an example of what we would love for Nashville to have. So it's showing again now, I believe.
Well, and I also talked to Vera Volbrecht at Warner Parks. I've got like 2 or 3 people working on this with some children to come with our own.
Okay, and Angie has her hand raised. It might be because I texted her for help because I was locked out of the... Sorry about that. I was trying to share and then I totally lost my WebEx. I was just going to pull up on the screen in case you guys hadn't seen in the calendar appointment. I had shared both the Austin resolution that they wrote, which included the Children's Bill of Rights, as well as the public-facing Bill of Rights that the children helped write. And, we don't have, we can do, a few different things. We could take this and modify it for Nashville, or we could start from scratch, like with those children that you're working with now, Karen, and prioritize exactly what's coming from their minds. But this just gives you an example of how it doesn't have to be super complicated, but it's all very important, and then that can help prioritize things that we do. And Karen, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for all you're doing at your school, both the gardening outside and the saving the food and donating 10,000 pounds of food. That's amazing. And that is more than enough and incredibly awesome. But then to want to share this district and citywide is phenomenal. So thank you for having the energy and forethought to bring this forward.
Well, it's really the children who came up with most of these ideas, Tanya. I shouldn't claim too much. They want the world to be better, and they want to participate in making it so.
And so Vera has a question. Vera, can you unmute?
Sure, thank you. And this is my first WebEx, so sorry if I'm not using the technology right. But I just thank you, Karen, for initiating this. I think it's great that it's moving forward for our kids and for sustainability and connecting kids with nature. I did want to just remind everybody, or if you're not aware, there is a Tennessee Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights that was passed by the House in 2010, and I was part of the committee statewide to help make that happen. So I didn't know if you all wanted to look at that and the language of that, and then also what the 10 items are a child will do before the age of 18, and try to piggyback on what's already been done statewide.
Yeah, actually, Vera, I think I sent that out in my note to them because it was your pointing that out to me that actually started me on that path. So kudos to you. And also for all the work you do with our kids at Warner Parks, because I think that can be replicated in other parks around the city. And it's just spectacular, the difference it makes in their experiences and their understanding and their view of life.
I haven't looked at that yet, but I'll be glad to.
I think definitely if something was already passed, we should work from that because it gives it credibility.
Absolutely. That was Nancy, if you couldn't recognize the voice, Karen.
Oh, I recognize her voice well.
If there's a way you can share a link on WebEx, I have have it pulled up on the internet. I don't know how to share that, but I can share my screen if that would work and just show everybody that. Is that possible?
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to click on it, but we could see it.
Okay. Let's see if I can do that. I don't have permission. That's okay. Oh, wait. I do have permission. Technology.
I just gave you permission.
Okay. Can you see my screen now, guys? Yes, no?
Not yet.
In the upper left where you see, where is it? Share. You can click share my screen or click share my application and select the right one that you're wanting to show. There it goes. We can see your email right now.
Oh, that's embarrassing. How about that? You see that?
There you go. You're set.
Yeah, so just, I mean, you can Google Tennessee
Every Child Outdoors.
Tennessee Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. And, you know, it was just a resolution. There was no money attached to it, but we did get the House and the Senate, the General Assembly, to vote to approve it. It was really with help of the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. They were the sort of the lobbying organization behind it. And, you know, they are based in Nashville. So I think if we got a group that does do some advocacy work behind this, that would give it a little more, just a little more robustness around, you know, taking it to council too.
Yes, and also we can kind of refresh it a little bit since it was February 2010. And for those that you can't see the screen, the address is everychildoutdoorstn.org. And then you can go /ourmission.html, but I think that everychildoutdoorstn.org will get you there. And I'll also send the link in our follow-up email that will include the PowerPoint.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
So,
now, Karen, we have Delisha Porterfield, Council Lady Porterfield, with her hand raised. Do you mind if I Go ahead, Council Lady Porterfield.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to chime in really quickly and say this is amazing, and I appreciate the work that everyone has done on this. Karen is actually my constituent, so thank you so much, Karen, for all your dedication and everything that you're doing to make sure that we leave a better Nashville and a better world for our children. So thank you for helping to lead that charge. I do have to jump off and jump on to another call, but I just wanted to, again, say thank you. I appreciate the work that you guys are doing, and I'm looking forward to supporting.
Thank you, Councilor Porterfield. And as an educator yourself, that means a lot to this group.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Do you think, I think the easier piece is probably this with the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights.
Hey, Karen, can you hold on a second and let
Sure.
Council Lady Henderson contribute
Sure.
a bit? Thanks.
Thank you, Council Lady Hancock, and thank you, Karen. I guess my thought on the resolution, to Karen's point just now, I think it will be probably the easiest piece of it. And I appreciate Vera's work at the state level and sharing that as well. I had the opportunity, I think year before last, to work with some Girl Scouts on a historical marker and kind of worked them through the legislative process in a companion resolution. And so I think there's a great synergy for kids to learn also about the legislative process and civic engagement. I wanted to ask as well, and Vera may know, obviously we have our school board and we have the parks board, and I think it might be more powerful or more, kind of noticeable if we were, if the parks board, I'm not really sure, they are somewhat of a recommending body to council. The Parks Board existed before Metro Council did. And so kind of the order of operations there. But it seems that, if the Parks Board were to adopt this same language, likewise the school board and the council. But I would encourage us also to think about, what we want to kind of garner from this from a programmatic support standpoint. Like, are we looking for money specifically in a fund to sustain these efforts? Because raising awareness is important, as is community education, as is individual efforts of schools. But I didn't know if there's going to be, and that may be a question for schools, but would there be a person at MNPS that was kind of assigned to this project and this sustainability effort? Likewise, would there be someone at Parks that would be assigned to similar? Because I think when you have so many great community partners like we do, I appreciate Urban Green Lab being a convener for this particular effort. But it's like a lot of people doing great work in kind of disparate but related ways. And so I just kind of think of our Parks Department and our MNPS being the two primary entities through which all this is going to kind of happen. And thus, if there were somebody there from a staff standpoint, funding, programmatic support, I'd be interested in that kind of operational side of how we sustain this, because I think if we're going to make all the educational effort and do the resolution, it needs to have sort of some companion funding or a programmatic organization with it. Thank you.
May I just say I agree with you entirely that if it's just a resolution, it will get passed easily and forgotten. That what many of us who work in the schools find that our principals have a huge number of mandates, things that they are told they have to do. And nature education is not one of them. And therefore, we end up at the bottom of the list. Looking at the Bill of Rights, either the Austin one or the one that was passed here in Tennessee, it would be wonderful if we could have some sort of an implementation combining the parks and the schools, like saying every class should take a major field trip to one of our parks in which they will do as many of these things as possible. They will go on a hike, they will splash in the stream, whatever. And if we could do that and then tie the parks to the schools, make connections between them, then I think we'd have a chance to have, this is not the ambitious project that Karen is talking about with recycling, but it's something that could make, I'm interested more in breadth, that I'd like it to hit every school if we could, so that schools that don't have big yards would go out to whatever the nearest park was and turn over a rotten log. Just a thought.
Thank you, Nancy. And next we have Emily Masters, school board member.
Thank you. So I wanted to let y'all know that Abigail Tyler is on as well. She just had to somehow ended up in participants instead of panelists. I don't know. We can all, WebEx is weirding us out today. But, and I wanted to echo a couple of things. First, where Angie was talking about attaching some specific action items to the Bill of Rights. I think that's really important. Otherwise, it's sort of that's nice, but no one is sort of empowered to act on it. And then back to what Nancy was saying, I feel like principals have so many directives coming, and there are a lot of optional programs thrown out to principals, and I have found that with a lot of those, if we can incentivize them in some way, that it really helps. I know that like one program through Coordinated School Health with some community partners, Wellness Week, it really took off over the course of 3 years as they were able to grow the incentives that were offered to schools. And I mean, this is as simple as like you get the teachers sign on and they get a t-shirt kind of thing. I'm not talking like huge, but just to create sort of that community feeling. And I think it's really important also that it be reflective of the community. Otherwise, you find what Tanya found with what seems like something really logical, like don't idle your car, it's bad for the environment. And you get a lot of pushback on it. I think you have to come at it from organizing the community around it and making sure that they have the buy-in. And I think by attaching some incentives and action items, that could be really helpful. So that's just my like school board member brain around it. I know there would be support for this kind of action. I feel like there could be a lot of momentum around potentially some sort of student council around it, because it's very much on the minds of our MMPS students. And I think, I mean, we've already seen what happens when they decide to organize, like stuff gets done. So I think that could be a really nice way to try to implement sort of the community involvement and the potential action items. So, and I think Abigail has her hand up, but it's as an attendee, so I don't know how that works. But so hopefully I won't end up being the only school board member that gets to talk. But and Abigail, she says she thinks if a student could be on the committee with MMPS and Parks, and I think that could be really exciting. I've seen how we sometimes operate in silos. Like I know we have a school board member on the Parks Commission, and I mean, it seems like that would mean we were all really connected in what we're doing. And then the mayor's office has Root Nashville, where they're planting all the trees, and that's housed at Cumberland River Compact, and the Nature Conservancy is on that board. But there's also just so much stuff going on in different areas. If we could, I mean, what I want more than anything is for us to all just rally around children, like, and make that our top priority here in Nashville, because that would make for a better Nashville. But I think this is one of those cases where if we could pull all the different community groups out of their silos and work together, it could be really exciting. And we could be, we could create some really replicable work here in Nashville, because I think we have the right ingredients for it. I'll stop talking now. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And the hand that was up next was Diana Andrew.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm Deanna from Urban Green Lab, and so I just wanted to respond to a couple of things. These are all such wonderful ideas. I just wanted to add that for the implementation piece and how is this going to get done and who else is going to be on this committee is a little bit is in the works and will be a little bit later. So the Bill of Rights is something we wanted to go ahead and get in front of people's eyes and get this group together and start talking about it. But you're totally right. We need to have actionable items. We need to have a plan. And so that's why Caroline Coster from the MNPS Energy Department is so valuable. She's done this a few times in different school districts. And so she's helping us as Urban Green Lab to help convene and coordinate this committee, which we definitely want to include students. That's such a good idea. And parents and, and you're right, all of the content experts that are already doing so much of this work throughout the city, but there's not really one centralized place for them to be working on school specific sustainability. So And sustainability encompasses so many things, as we know, including outdoor education. So I just wanted to note that for the implementation piece, that's what's going to be really, really important and tricky, and the funding. So, we're happy to help convene this committee and start talking about creating that sustainability strategic plan for the district, which would include our objectives, our actionable items, and then a plan for the district to hopefully make this happen by investing in a person that could help coordinate this. So in Austin, we do have this woman, Darian Clary, who straddles operations and curriculum. So I think that's perfect because she can help us incorporate those curriculum items around outdoor education and sustainability and work with the partners in the city who are already doing it, like the park. So exactly what you all said is the plan. It's just that, it'll be a long process to kind of get that together. And we will need funding to make it happen in the long run in terms of staff in the district or other project funds, most likely. But for now, we're happy to help convene the committee and just get the work started. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you.
Tanya?
Thank you, Deanna. Yes, Karen?
I can't raise my hand, and I don't want to interrupt. So when you're ready.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Deanna a question, and this is also for you, Karen, the two of you. So I guess what I'm garnering is your goal is for us to write a resolution and start processing it perhaps through Parks and School Board and Council, and then almost simultaneously, start a committee to get the really, meat and potatoes action done.
You guys are all good strategic thinkers. So I think you've already pinpointed what Diana was trying to say we're sort of set up to do. If I view this more as the beginning of public awareness and garnering understanding and getting people behind this issue so that they'll be ready in another year to probably look at implementing. The second piece that is the companion piece with this Children's Bill of Rights is the piece where the city council encourages, supports the district's attempts to become a sustainable district and approves of the idea of this committee, which is Deanna and Urban Green Lab are going to be pulling together. And Darian said from Austin, it took them about a year to come up with the ways in which they began implementing it there. Every place is different. So that would be the part of this that would have the strategic implications, and also which would ultimately, as Deanna points out, we probably need to have a sustainability manager for our district. And so that money would have to come from that, and that would have to be down the road. But there's a lot of groundwork to lay before we get there. And there are so many things already happening. I'm not sure how. I think that the public relations of this, and as I think Nancy said, getting it before the eyes of people, is this piece, the Outdoor Children's Bill of Rights, and encouraging that. So I think that the secondary piece is already on the map with this committee to come up with the policy proposals to help this happen, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and so the formation of that committee is sort of in the works, just in terms of us putting names on paper and thinking about it. And there's going to be so many amazing advisors in the city that can help work on this too. But then, according to Caroline, we really need that working committee who's going to actually write the plan and get it done. So we're just talking about who we need at the table. But I love everyone's suggestions so far, and we're happy to help with that.
Okay, and then we have Abigail Tyler, also from the Metro Public Schools Board. Abigail, are you able to unmute? She's not. Let's see. Michael, are you able to add Abigail to the panelist list? Emily, do you want to say something? You had your hand up again.
I don't think I meant to.
Okay.
I was trying to help Abigail figure out how to get unmuted.
I did want to say one more thing. I appreciate Deanna, about Caroline at MNPS. What was her last name you mentioned?
Coster, Caroline Coster. She's one of those 3 contractors that MNPS has contracted to help with energy-specific sustainability, but they are starting to reach out into other areas as well.
Great. That is good to hear. I wanted to encourage us also, or that working group or the larger group. Nashville has done a lot of strategic planning in the last few years. I think Nashville actually kind of just hit a plan fatigue wall, right? Like we did the In Motion strategic plan, the walk and bike plan, and there's a little bit of the intersection. I saw Walk Bike Nashville was on kind of the team of folks, so that intersects with the walk and bike strategic plan a little bit, but I would say maybe primarily with the plan to play master plan for parks, and then Nashville had a plan, but now the mayor has another sustainability committee. I don't know if they've kind of done their deliverables yet or where they are, and you would probably know that, but I would just say looking at that plan to play master plan specifically, and then whatever sustainability effort is ongoing with the mayor's office, if that is still as of yet unpublished, there might be a way to kind of do a little bit of a passing of the baton or a nod to the need for this in that plan. So I would say in the near term, it's probably important to make sure that Mary Beth Eichert and the mayor's office is aware, and so that there's at least some mention of this initiative in whatever the mayor's sustainability group is about to put out. So that just kind of comes to mind, looking back at kind of old strategic plans and seeing if there's things we can pull from those. Thank you.
And Michael just attempted to unmute Abigail. Abigail, could you try and see if...
Okay, did it work? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Great. I have just a minute or two. I have to go get my youngest child. But before I leave, I wanted to say I would love to see all of MNPS go zero waste, the same way that Westmead has. And I know HG Hill was trying to run a program like that too. And the thing that has made it work in those schools is there has been a big driver of a teacher or a person who has really taken on the responsibility of that. And it's not going to work if we don't have somebody like that. So I would love to see MNPS have sort of like a program coordinator for something. And I think it would have to be specific to MNPS. And they could coordinate with whoever the city council person is, or if that becomes a position within the council as well. So I think that I don't know that we have the funds for something like that right now, but we could look at grants because there's a lot of grants out there for sustainability programs. And so I think having somebody that we could pay to be a program coordinator to make sure that it happens, because like I think Nancy said it earlier, if your principal's not on board, it's not going to happen. And so if you don't have somebody who's going to back you up and cheer you on, then you need somebody who's going to say, this is our plan, even if you don't want it. And so this is how we're going to meet those steps. And so I think in order to do that, we would need to have that as not a volunteer position, because I think we're too big. We just can't do it otherwise. And then I'm so sorry, I have to run. I have to go get my kid, but I just wanted to step in and say, I just love all the work you guys are doing. I'm really excited about it. And I hope to be able to help and participate in any way I can.
Well, thanks, Abigail. I'm glad we were able to get you unmuted, and I'm sorry about those challenges.
Thank you.
Bye. Karen, did you want to, oh wait, we have more hands up. Angie? Nope. Deanna?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to respond to Abigail and Angie. Thank you for those comments, definitely. So Angie, that we have so many great plans related to sustainability in the city, and Urban Green Lab does serve on the mayor's Climate Action Planning Committee and Sustainability Committee. And we actually were on the waste subcommittee. So we were specifically focused on waste and not necessarily the education part, but for the Climate Action Plan, it is very technical and very, emissions related and waste related. And we as an educational organization put as much education as we could in there. So I am going to send a note to Todd, our director, to just say, is there anywhere we can slip this in? But it is almost final. The recommendations are being reviewed and about to be, presented to the mayor. So, but I will just double check to make sure it's in there. But we definitely add as much education as we can. And we do want this school sustainability strategic plan to be aligned with all of the other ones. So the Nashville Zero Waste Plan, the Mayor's Climate Action Plan, we don't want to duplicate effort. We want to show the city that this is going to help push forward their goals and initiatives, because schools are about 30% of our population. So, if our schools are sustainable, then our city will be. So we definitely want to align with those. I just wanted to make that clear. And that is why my director and I are looking at all the committee memberships to try to see, who's on this committee and how do we not duplicate, but also get who we need on our committee. And then just one last thing. Also, yes, we definitely need to hire someone. So that's the goal, would be that we think the district absolutely needs a paid official person, if not a whole department. So it will need to be funded. And we do work with all of the green schools programs nationally in the United States. So there's many, but we try to keep on top of what they are and what grants they have available. So we will have the knowledge to be able to apply for grants for either projects and or possibly support, but most likely it'll have to be in the school's budget.
Tanya?
Okay. Yes, Karen.
You guys are amazing. I'm already exhausted just listening to all the wonderful things that you've already thought of that I hadn't thought of. But I think for me right now, I think the key thing is to get the concept approved and get this out in front of people to say, we need to do this. It's positive. It's good. And at this point, it won't cost anything because people are already contributing. In the slideshow I did, I had all the different people that have done specific things to help this happen in our schools. So we need to encourage and emphasize and lift up all of that and maybe create this initial document and say we definitely want to participate with Metro schools in their attempts to become sustainable. And that's the piece. I don't know how to write legislation that does that, whether it's, I don't think it's legislation the typical manner that, it's going to require money at this point, because when Deanna and this committee are finished, they will present policy proposals that would perhaps lead to the hiring of a sustainability manager for our school district. But right now, given everything that's happening in our city, I felt like it was more important to get the commitment to be one of philosophy and encouragement than rather get bogged down in the money at this point. It's going to, and actually, the truth of the matter is it's going to save tremendous amount of money. For example, in Bowling Green, one elementary school returned $37,500 to their school district in excess generation of electricity. And then that doesn't even count in the way the amount of money that'll be saved by not having to landfill and all of those things. So in the long run, it saves money, but right now it feels like it might be an outlay of cash if you're going to hire a sustainability manager for the district. So I thought the first and the most important initial step to take was this one of positive reinforcement and saying, we need to do this. Nashville is already doing so much of this, and we want to encourage one another in it. So my goal wasn't to be too specific, but to find a way to create that legislation, the resolution for I think the resolution's clear for the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights, but then the other piece of encouraging, yes, we want to laud and encourage the district to become sustainable, and we want to participate in any way we can to help that happen. And already, I mean, when you look at Metro Parks and Metro Public Works and all the people that have already contributed, we need to make people aware that that's going on, that this is your taxpayer money. This is what it pays for. It's already being paid for. They're already doing great things. So I don't know how to write that legislation, however, because I didn't go to the Girl Scout troop that I don't know which one of you was doing that. Sounded wonderful, where you took the kids through the whole process. But that's the kind of legislation that I think we need to write for this first little piece.
And Karen, did you think that the legislation that Austin had written, the one with the whereases, did you think
I thought that was great, and I thought we could use that as our planned format. I wrote to Vera, and then we've got some kids who've been through the naturalist program through the Warner Parks and through our schools that are working on very specific things that they see in Nashville. And so that can be written pretty easily, I think. And then I don't know, does one of the council people present it? Is that how that happens?
Yes, and I would like to just get Angie's input as a tenured council lady or counselor on council. She, has a lot more experience with this. So what was your feedback on that?
So I want to encourage us. I know this seems like low-hanging fruit and a simple first effort, and I think we can go ahead and get it in progress, but I think timing does matter. Vera, I think, may have been on another call that I was on this morning, where I did an educating resolution about the emerald ash borer epidemic. And frankly, that resolution came a little early. We have a 50% new council body. Then funding needs weren't really reflected in this last budget. I would encourage us right now. I feel like council, we are all underwater because of tornado and pandemic and budget increase and referendum and water bills. And I just don't think that many of us have the bandwidth for this. And so it might just be like, yay, and nothing happens. I would encourage us to, do the work to get it in shape, engage kids as need be and have that document, but not necessarily push out with that until Urban Green Lab and that strategic planning committee, because once we push forward with that, we could even say in the resolution, the school board, from a budgetary perspective, should fund, a program, a sustainability program manager. The Parks Department should this or that. Like, the way to make this stuff happen is to get, whether through grant or operational funding. So I would encourage us to align the resolution or the Bill of Rights more closely with budgeting process and the other strategic plan. Not that it can't be started now, but then we need them all to kind of come alongside with each other, because why are we saying yay these things? From the council standpoint, it means you want to make sure it's reflected in the budget, right? You want to make sure that the mayor's office is, getting that in there, and that the school board likewise is doing the same before they present their budget to council. So, next budget, it doesn't feel like it. Next budget cycle will already be starting again in February or March. So that's really not that long off. So I would encourage us not to kind of rush ahead with the resolution, because I think it's easy and it feels good, but if it's not aligned, you don't really kind of garner the goodwill and the yay positive energy with what it is you really need to get to sustain the programs.
And Angie, would you suggest that this still have a goal of completing before budget cycle so that it could be included this coming next school year, or do you think that's even too soon?
I would look back to Deanna on laying the groundwork on that. If they feel like, it sounds like on the school side that there has already been, some work done, but, again, it doesn't have to be all the be all to end all T's crossed, all I's dotted. This is the only time we'll ever have to say what we want. But I would align it with at least a few specific budgetary asks or staffing positions. And that could happen this next budget season, I think, for sure.
And then Vera has her hand raised.
Thanks. So I think this is really exciting, and it's stuff that I've been talking about and working on for the past 20 years as an environmental educator. So it's really exciting to hear a group coming together in Nashville to to work on these things. And I agree with everything that's been commented on so far in terms of it needs staff support internally and the strategic plan and all these things. I'm not going to rehash that. A couple of things. So you guys know, parks, we're really overstretched right now. And so to ask parks to add a position for this, I think would be a reach. I think it could be a really good fit for MNPS, and then to partner with parks. And what I would like to see or add to what Urban Green Lab's doing in the strategic plan for this is to really include and not forget the outdoor education component, which is dovetails with sustainability, but is a little bit different. And so what we have done at Warner Park Nature Center over the last 7 years is build this really deep quality young naturalist mentoring experience that complements the science curriculum and uses evidence-based scientific investigation, starting with kindergarten. Now we've got kindergarten through middle school curriculum that we're doing with kids outdoors multiple times a year, and then also with our AP environmental science labs. And so what Karen said, I think if we take the model that we've created at Warner and we could replicate it in clusters throughout the county as a long-term goal, that's really the kind of vision, I think, for outdoor education that's supporting science that then builds on sustainable schools. And it's kind of this web of all of these different things coming together. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew just a snippet of what we're doing and include us in that part of the planning, and not forgetting that taking kids outside and having real hands-on experiences, whether it's training teachers to do that on their campuses and taking them to parks. I mean, I think it can be all of the above. So just wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
Thank you. And we have one more hand, Jennifer, and then we'll head back to you, Karen, for wrap up.
Hi, thank you, Tanya. So my name is Jennifer Antowski. I work with Turnip Green Creative Reuse and the Green Operations Manager there. So I quickly wanted to just introduce myself. And two, while I have nothing to add as far as experience and guidance from a legislation perspective, if anyone needs the service like a graphic design person to create that Bill of Rights for Nashville, I'm more than capable of doing that if you need that service to perform for you. Like I said, I'm here on behalf of Turnip Green, so I appreciate everything everyone is doing, and I'm somewhat new to the area, so I'm kind of learning everyone's names still in all the organizations, but I'd love to contribute at least some of my time, where I can. So just reach out to me if that's something I can help anyone with.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. We had a little bit of a mic issue, so it was a fun robot voice, but I got the fact that you're supportive, you've enjoyed the call, and if we need some graphic design work, you can help out with that. And we might need to test the mic next time, but it was awesome, and I'm glad that you were able to join. Yes, thank you. And Karen, do you want to wrap up?
Sure. Well, first of all, Vera, you will be interested to know that a couple of weeks ago when I talked to Darian in Austin, I said, what one thing would you do differently? And her comment was, I would emphasize more the outdoor education piece. And that is so critical. It's so important. So yes, definitely. I don't want us to lose. I know we need to tie it to all the things that Angie mentioned, but I don't want us to lose sight of the impact that support has, just verbal support even, because there are so many people already working in these areas in the schools. And I think somehow we do need to do that in addition. So I'm not sure where this should go next, and I'm going to rely on you all to figure that out. But it's critical that people know that they're being supported, and principals will come along if they believe that they're going to be recognized for doing these things. And so many of these things can be done at no cost. So I don't want us to lose sight of just the importance of that virtual hug, if you will, from the council for what can happen, and encouragement.
Super, thank you. And I also wanted to mention, for those of you that have not been perusing the list, that Counselor at Large Berkeley Allen is also on the call. She's been listening, and so I just wanted to make sure to recognize her. She didn't raise her hand, so I assume she didn't want to speak. And I'd like to thank again my fellow council members, as well as the school board members that attended, and all of you for the hard work and awesome ideas you're putting forward. And I look forward to continuing to work with Karen and the group to try to make something happen.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Y'all have a nice day.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.